Greetings, folks. I'm going to show you a little bit about how to think about your gearing when you hit 85. When you first hit 85, you probably have a bunch of quest greens and blues that are like ranging from 296 or 300 to maybe 316. You may have a 325 or so. Your goal when you first start, when you first get to 85, is to get your gear level to 329. An average item level of 329 means you need to have at least a few 333s with few 346s thrown in. Now, depending on your amount of money, you can actually buy your way to 329 pretty easily. But the key to it all is the rep grind. To be perfectly honest, being the raid leader of my guild, I've been trying to prep people for raiding. It's a casual guild, so they're really not as hardcore as a lot of other guilds may be. So they don't really know what to do all the time, and on their path to 85, they may not have been doing everything they needed to with raiding and gearing in mind. But so essentially, from 80 to 85, you should be keeping these factions in mind. There are essentially 5 factions that each Horde and Alliance have to deal with, plus the PvP ones. Now, the interesting thing about this is a lot of people don't realize that Tolbarad is not necessarily going to require you to PvP. In fact, you can do the entire thing without having to PvP at all. You just have to wait until your faction actually controls the southern part of the island to do half of your dailies. But basically, there's 6 dailies on the south island and 6 dailies on the north, and you can always do the north part every day. It doesn't depend on who controls the southern portion of the island. So you got Baron's Wardens, and Hellscream's Reach. From these, I wouldn't bother with anything but the exalted stuff. Like, I have Unsolvable Riddle, for example. Get one of your epic trinkets from here, and if you have the money, get another epic trinket from Darkmoon Fair. Get the cards and or the decks and trade them in for the trinkets. That's what I have, is the Hurricane trinket. Right? I have a scribe. I actually made more money than I spent getting the Hurricane deck because I was selling the cards that didn't match up to the wins. So if you have a scribe, by all means, spend the money on the herbs and mill them and make the cards and sell them. You will probably make more money back than you spend, up to and including getting yourself a deck. I actually made more money than I spent, and I got myself a Hurricane deck and an Earthquake deck for my tank. And I probably tripled my money to boot. It was insane, especially right now, when everyone's getting these starter trinkets. But the thing to keep in mind when it comes to the factions is, like Earthen Ring, there are no dailies. Guardians of Hyjal, there are no dailies. Ramkahan, there's only one daily, and it provides like 125 rep. Or 150. So, these 3, you're going to want to wear tabards for. Get to friendly, wear your tabards, and do those when you're doing dungeons, so you get the rep while you're in the dungeons. You're going to want to decide which one you wear based on whichever one has either the epic that you want or the arcanum that you want. You're probably going to want to go for the arcanum one first. Like, for example, I went for Ramkahan first so I could get my arcanum of Ramkahan, which is the agility and haste one. That's for any agility class. Earthen Ring, all tanks, right? It's got stam and dodge rating. Guardians of Hyjal, all casters. There is no split between healers and caster DPS in this expansion. There is only one caster arcanum. Wildhammer has the strength and mastery one, so that's strength DPS classes. And Therazane has all of your shoulder enchants. So your head and shoulder enchants are all from rep grinds. So, the other thing you want to look at is which factions have the gear that I need at Exalted, the epics that I need. And so, for example, with me, I wanted to get Earthen Ring Exalted so I could get the Signet of the Elder Council. And I wanted to get Guardians of Hyjal Exalted so I could get the Treads of Malorn. So that's for hunters. Wrap of the Great Turtle, that's Mastery and Dodge. That's going to be for any tank. They want Guardians of Hyjal. They also want, I think. Okay, this is for Holy Pallies only, basically. Plate, caster gear. G, Holy Pallies. So you want to get Atlas Loot and look through it. Alt-click adds things to a wish list. You can just go to your wish list. So, like, let's say I want that Signet of the Elder Council. I alt-click on it. It goes to my wish list. Factions. Gosh darn it. Signet of the Elder Council. It's been added to my wish list. And there it is. To remove it, simply alt-click again. So, that's what you first want to look at. What epics can you get? And which faction has the Arcanum that you want? Don't wear the tabard for Therazane or Wildhammer clan, though, until you get all three of these up. Earthen Ring, Guardians of Hyjal, and Ramkahan. The reason being is because Wildhammer has 5 different dailies you can do, and it totals probably around 3,000 rep a day. You don't want to end up in a situation where you are completely done doing all of the dailies for Wildhammer and Therazane, and you're still friendly or honored with these 3, but exalted with these 2. You want to be able to do dailies for these and do the rep grind in dungeons with these other ones. I'm talking from Alliance here. Of course, if you are Horde, you're going to do Dragon Maw instead of Wildhammer. They have dailies as well. Therazane is neutral between the 2 factions, so everyone's doing these. Now, Therazane has about 500 different dailies, and they kind of rotate around and such. So you're going to want to do those dailies every day until you get exalted. And there's a couple nice achievements with them. And plus, I think it's so funny when you do Glop, the Glop family line one, Glop, son of Glop. And he's like, no, my cave. I never heard your cave. It's really funny. So anyway, that's the faction stuff. So once you've determined what you're going to get from the factions at Exalted, then you start looking at the different crafting skills. Leatherworking is by far the most versatile, and finally leatherworkers can actually make some money by providing good gear to a lot of people. Essentially, leatherworkers provide belts and chest pieces that are epics, and a nice blue 346 back piece for anyone but casters. And I think tailoring has the caster back piece, so that's where you're going to want to look for that. But basically, non-caster back pieces and the leather and mail chest and belt. Right? So, don't be looking to buy your chest and belt, for example, with your justice points, because eventually you're going to be able to buy you're going to want to save your money, work your professions, make your money, so you can buy or get a guildie to make for you a nice leather belt or chest piece. If you're using mail or blacksmithing as well, belts and chest piece there, as well as shields. There's some nice epic shields that can be made. So, the other thing to look at then is, okay, now what can I buy with Justice and Valor points? Right? Oh man, I got so far to fly over. Oh, I can just go this one. If you look at your Atlas loot, you'll notice under collections you have Justice and Valor points. Your Justice points, like for example for mail, you got it all listed. You got your caster stuff for your shamans and hunter stuff over here. If you think about it, let's just eliminate. We don't need the belt. We don't need the chest. If you narrow it down from there, you're going to want to get the cheapest one first to upgrade yourself quicker, because you can only make so many justice points per day. So you'd probably want to get your shoulders or your gloves, but look at your factions again. Are there any shoulders or gloves you can get from factions like this? You have a 333 shoulder piece here, so you don't want to spend your justice points on a 346 when you can get gloves first and then get to Honored with Earthen Ring, and boom, you got your shoulders. So plan it out. Yes, the 346 one from the justice points is better, However, when you're talking about spending 1650 justice points versus gold at a rep grind at Honored, you're going to want to get the gloves here and the 333 elsewhere. If you get my point, it's all about the planning. You got to plan it out. There's only going to be a few pieces that you're going to want to get from somewhere other than a faction. You could get, for example, this Spear of Trailing Shadows. It's exactly the same, except for one of the itemizations on it. This one has haste and hit. The one from Lost City of whatever it's called, has mastery and crit, and every forged summon to hit here. I didn't want to spend 85 commendations on this, and I already had this anyway. So take the gear you can get from your doing your regulars and heroics, and if you have the gear you don't need it anymore, from purchasing it, then remove it from your wish list. That's basically your plan there. You got to remember to do your faction grinds. You got to do your dailies. You have 25 available dailies, and if you think about it, under factions here, you got 5 here. I think you got 7 that you can do with Therazane, maybe. It depends on the day. So, there's 12. Then you got 12 that you can do at Baradin's, at Tol Barad every day. There's 24 out of your 25 right there. Then you do your cooking daily, your fishing daily. Oh my God, you're out of dailies. So plan it, do whatever. But it's about 25 a day that you can do. And that's a lot of good money, too. So, use that money to buy your epics and run heroics with your guild and, work your own professions. If you are a hunter, you should probably be a leather worker. And, go skinning, make your money. Work your professions to make your money. There's no excuse for it. I've had so many people in my own guild being like, I don't have any money, and I look and they have they're mining at 16 or something like that. And I'm like, well, go build your mining up. Oh, but that's so boring. I say, yeah, it's boring, but that's why you're broke. So go do what you need to do. Otherwise, don't complain about not having the gear. Anyway, I'll see y'all later.